Good morning, dear students, and welcome back to our online classes. I hope you have enjoyed your short vacation, third card test vacation, and you are filled with more energy to learn new things and to be involved in our everyday online classes. Now, we were doing force, and we know now that any push or pull or a twist acting on an object is known as force. And we learned that there are 5 different types of forces, and they are gravity, friction, muscular force, mechanical, and magnetic. And we have already learned about gravity or gravitational force. In our today's class, we are going to learn about another type of force, which is called friction or frictional force. So let us see what this friction or frictional force means and how this frictional force is applied in our everyday life. Friction or frictional force. Friction is a force that acts when two surfaces move or slide against one another. So when one surface slides or moves against or above one another, then what type of force acts? Friction or frictional force. And this frictional force always opposes the motion of an object. Opposes means it reduces the motion of object. So when I bring my one palm on top of another palm like this, and if I move like this, if I slide my one palm above another palm, which force is acting over here? A frictional force. Now frictional force tries to reduce or reduces the motion of my palm, okay, and therefore since there is frictional force acting between my palm, what happens? After some time my palm becomes warm or hot. This is due to frictional force. Okay boys, now frictional force, we have just come to know that frictional force always opposes, means it does not allow motion. It tries to stop the motion of any object. It causes moving objects to slow down or come to a stop completely. Okay boys, so a moving object would continue to move and never stop if there was no friction acting on it. And this is very true. Just think for a while. If had there been no frictional force, just imagine what the everyday life would have been. Say suppose you are coming to school, you want to come to school by a car. Everyone comes to school by car. Now say suppose you want to come to school by a car. This car, say suppose. Now just think that there is no frictional force. Now when you are in a car, the car will run very smoothly. You will not have any problem. The car will move smoothly. The car will even consume less petrol. That means your fuel will be saved. But when you reach our Gothal's first school gate, Gothal Siding School Gate, now you want to come up, enter the gate and reach to our school. Now say suppose you reach to our school, you enter the gate, you come up and you reach our school main entrance. Now over there your car needs to be stopped, right? But now just imagine your driver applies brake to stop the car and the car doesn't stop, what will happen? You will meet an accident. Okay, your car will not stop at all. It will continue to move. Why? Because the wheel of the car continues to rotate. It continues to rotate, and as long as the wheel of the car rotates, your car will not stop. Therefore, you'll meet an accident. Hence, friction or frictional force is very, very important in our everyday life. Now bring the frictional force back. Now think again, frictional force is there. Now what will happen? Now when the driver applies brake, this moving wheel will now slide over the road surface, and due to frictional force, this wheel will now stop moving, because frictional force opposes motion of an object. Therefore, your car will stop in front of our school main entrance, and you will not meet an accident. Your day will be a happy day. You will enter the school building and your everyday activity at school starts. You will be able to enjoy with your friends along with learning new things. Is that clear, boys? Therefore, friction is very, very important in our everyday life. When we walk, do you know how we are able to walk, take our steps? It is due to friction. When we walk, we lift our leg, and what we do? We move, we slide our one leg over the ground, one by one leg after another. And when we slide our leg fit, the sole of our shoe on the surface of the ground, between the sole of our shoe and the ground, frictional force takes place, and this frictional force helps us to grip the ground properly. And if we are not able to grip the ground properly, then what will happen? We will slip, and again we'll meet an accident. Now imagine you are in a dark jungle. It is very, very dark. You don't know where to go. Okay, you're caught or you are lost in that dark forest. You don't have modern technologies such as your mobile, your torchlight, but you have a matchstick. Now what will you do? To remove your fear, to know where you are, what you'll do? You'll light a fire. And to light a fire, what will you do? You will take out a matchstick and you will strike. You will strike the side of the matchstick where some chemicals are attached over there. And when you strike the matchstick, due to frictional force, now I told you in the beginning only, when we rub our hand, frictional force acts, and due to that frictional force, heat energy is produced. So when we strike this matchstick on the wall of this matchbox, heat energy is produced. Due to that heat energy, this matchstick catches fire, and with that small fire we can make a huge fire which can drive away our fear and light our surrounding. Is that clear? In the ancient days, when there were no tools, even this matchstick, how people used to light fire, you must have seen Bear Grylls program in Discovery Channel, how he makes light. He applies frictional force. He rubs one dry object on another dry object. That means he applies frictional force over there. So due to that frictional force, heat energy is produced and light can be produced. Light fire can be produced. So we have to remember that frictional force always acts between two surfaces, moving surfaces, and the frictional force always opposes the motion of object. Now, rougher the surface, more will be friction produced, and smoother the surface, lesser the friction produced. Okay, that is why when we try to walk on icy field, in most cases we slip and we fall. The reason behind that is icy surface, they are smooth, hence there is less friction, so our sole of our shoes cannot grip properly, therefore we fall down. Whereas in rougher surface such as our playground, they are rough, the surface is rough, and our sole can grip the ground nicely due to friction, and hence we can walk or run easily. Okay boys, so to reduce this friction, now in some cases friction is not good. For example, in the wheels of our car, in our machines, if there are more friction, then our machine will not give us more work. Our machines will not be that efficient. Our car engines, if inside the engine of the car, if there is more friction, then the engine will become heated too soon, as a result of which our car can get damaged. Therefore, friction is not good everywhere. Although friction helps us in different ways, but friction in some different areas or in some different places, friction is not good because it might reduce the efficiency of machines, it might damage things. Therefore, in some places we need to reduce friction. And now we can reduce friction by applying lubricants to the surfaces. Lubricants such as we can apply oil, we can apply grease, we can even apply this pencil lead. This pencil lead is made up of carbon, and the name of that carbon is graphite, and this graphite is very slippery. So we can use graphites, powder graphites, as lubricants to reduce friction, and hence less friction increases the efficiency of our machines. Our machines can work more efficiently, more easily. They will consume less fuels, hence it also saves our money. Am I clear, boys? Therefore, now to pull heavier things, which one will you prefer? Less friction or more friction? Correct. We will prefer less friction. Okay, that's why if you want to pull very heavy object, what you can do, you can apply either grease, you can put some water under the heavy box, or you can even put some oil under the box. You can even keep some smooth clothes under the heavy load, in between the load and the ground surface. Okay, and that smooth cloth can act as a lubricant, and it will be easy, and now it will reduce the friction, therefore making our work easy. Okay boys, so always remember, friction opposes motion. Friction is good, it helps us to do many things. Friction in some cases is not good, therefore we need to reduce friction. And how we can reduce friction? By applying lubricants on the surfaces. Rougher the surface, more will be the friction. Smoother the surface, lesser will be the friction. I hope I have made you understand our second type of force, that is friction, or it is also called frictional force. Okay, please think of daily activities where you use this friction, and those activities which you make good use of friction, and those activities where frictional force is not good for us. This much for today, boys. Till then, stay safe and do all things well.